The thing that is most misunderstood about sports radio is its function. It's not that you're supposed to look. There are shifts, there are day parts where if you want to get into the minutia, if you want to talk about cycling and what they do on special teams and all the other things that go into it, all the details that go into being an NHL team, there are shifts for that. There are hours of that. That's not what a morning show does. That's what a morning show isn't supposed to. I'm supposed to call someone or bring the coach on who will explain those moves. I bring the general manager on. I can bring on one of the players. This is what hosting a morning show does. I'm hard pressed to think that going to work for a job that you hate, for a boss who sucks, for you getting yelled at every day and maybe not getting the money that's worth it to you. Maybe you have a hard day where you're outside every day. Hey, there's a lot of people in Western Canada that listen to that show that weren't just from Calgary. They were also from Saskatchewan. And you know, these guys would be out working the fields and so on. They wanted to get some laughs in with a little bit of the sports. So what you want to do is be an entertaining guy, and hopefully you have the chops to actually do that. And then on the other side, you call someone who can explain all those things better than I can, better than any probably morning guy can, because there's a reason why they're a morning guy, because they were probably, for the most part, in broadcast and maybe not a great athlete. Look, my background is weird. It's different. I played at a very high level of sports, but I also started doing stand-up when I was in grade 12. Freak and weird. I was a goalie and a drummer. All the weird stuff that goes into this brain where I hear the voices. I'm sitting there looking at a football game. All of a sudden, I hear Peyton Manning going, what he should have done. What he should have done was you got to pull that back. You got to make them read into when you're going to play action pass. You don't just run with it, dummy. That's not RPO. This is what goes on in this head. This is what I have going on. Bob Cole,
I get it.
All kinds of stuff is going on there.
I don't even think it's weird.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
I was fascinated last week that Jerry was pounding Egg McMuffins like it was his job and dosing them with salt because he didn't care because he's 80.
How about that?
So what better, shrimp cocktail or Egg McMuffin? Don't waste our time. It's Egg McMuffin all day. And don't get me started about those puny little cocktail rings that you buy. They're disgusting. Egg McMuffin's good anywhere.
That's right. It's the Rod Pedersen Show.
Absolutely. Abso-Smurfly. Welcome to the RP Show, everybody. It's your favorite daytime sports talk show. Episode number 1497 here on the old Game Plus television network. I'm in the Florida studio. Moose is in the Toronto studio. Toronto being Canada's NFL city. We're going to talk some four-down football, a lot of NHL, some baseball. We have a lot of things to get to today. We're also streaming live on YouTube, and we are ready to rock and roll. Our guest is NHL analyst Jared Dumba, coming up in hour two from Dumba's hockey playing family. Where's Darren? I saw him. Okay. There he is. Thanks.
I'm here.
Worrying me. I was afraid that you'd done something drastic after the Leafs lost last night, because I have spoken to you this morning. You are not in a good mental space, Darren. You're not. I'm
in a great place this morning. Life is good, man. I had a good little sleep in. The amount that I get hung up on sports results is like zero. And to be honest, being in this business, I've become less and less, of a fan, but more and more just a fan of the games. And no, nothing could put me in a bad mood. You never have to worry about that.
Good. Okay, good, my dog. I'm glad to hear you say, but not everybody in the Leaf Nation can say that. Okay, guys, can you hit the quick six show horn, and we'll get down to business. This is what we're talking about today. We open every day with a quick six show topics and the big story, and I'm going to tell you right now, we've got several big stories and some breaking news. But the biggest story is the Stanley Cup playoffs. We all watched the game, so I'm just going to read a line on each. The Maple Leafs have gone from the driver's seat to the brink of elimination. Sergei Bobrovsky made 31 saves as the Florida Panthers dismantled the Toronto Maple Leafs 6-1 to grab a 3-2 series lead in that second-round series, and the Panthers can wrap it up here in Sunrise Friday night. Meanwhile, Kasperi Kapanen scored on a scramble in front of the net at 7:14 of overtime, and the Edmonton Oilers beat Vegas 1-0 last night in Game 5 to clinch the series and move on to the Western Conference Final for the second year in a row. I'm not going to ask for apologies from all the Oiler Nation who dumped on their team, who said that they were too old, they were too slow, they were too disinterested. Stuart Skinner sucks. Just zip. I'm past it. I don't need an apology. Or even for you to say that I was right. But the Oilers have made it to the Final Four. That's 1. And 2, Darren, we watched the Panthers-Leafs game at a watch party in Wellington, Florida with some of my great friends, and we were about as stunned as you were with what went on at Scotiabank Arena last night. What the hell, man? Can you speak on behalf of the Leafs or at least the fans?
Yeah, I don't know that, to be honest. Stunned is a good word. You know, it's funny you said the brink of elimination, but it looked like you slipped and almost said drink. They are almost in the drink. Like, might as well be. It's fascinating to watch. It really is. And, you know, it's interesting. This playoffs, there's so many similarities. I draw in our morning meeting, I was drawing similarities. It feels very much like the LA Kings and the Edmonton Oilers, where the Kings looked like they were on their way to sweep the series up in Game 3, give up a late goal, goes to overtime, they lose it. And then they just handed the keys to the series over to the Oilers, stepped aside and let the Oilers win 4 straight. And it feels like the same way in this series. Game 3, you're up by a couple of goals early, you're up by a couple of goals later in the game, but then you just lose that game in overtime and you just hand the keys over. It feels like the team's done. And we haven't seen them show up in the last number of games. So, I mean, going almost, 5 periods without a goal, more than 5 periods without a goal. It's just not great. But, you know, being in this city and just going around the city in times like this and seeing Leafs fans, it reminds me so much. I was telling you on the phone that I got really deep nostalgic vibes. It reminds me of being in Saskatchewan and growing up as a Rider fan, where the team doesn't win and they have a ton of heartbreak and a ton of anguish. And you've got older fans who have been watching the team for decades, constantly disappointed. They're almost just like chuckling, laughing, because they're like, yeah, we knew it was going to happen. We just didn't know how. And here we are. It feels like Rider fans that I grew up with. It feels like being home. So it's kind of comforting in a way.
Well, actually, it's interesting you say that. Bob Bobrovsky was 106 away from another shutout. So, Leaf fans were waiting for the shoe to drop, and the shoe is on its way to dropping. The series isn't over yet. Like, now we're getting into something. I saw on my phone this morning a clip of PK Subban on ESPN just blasting the Leafs, and specifically Brendan Shanahan. And as I've told you, listen, this is a topic for another day, but one that I would like to get into. PK Subban has really straightened up. They've put him in the broadcast booth. He's wearing a 3-piece suit. He's wearing spectacles. He looks really smart. Studious. That's what people say about when I put my glasses on. He's gotten very serious in his role. And Serena and I were talking about this morning. She was like, what he said has always been good. His delivery hasn't always been good. And it's similar to Biz. I feel like the NHL sat both of those two down and said, can you straighten up? We have a brand here. We have a code. And they listened because they want to be part of it. And both of what they say is very good. But anyways, back to PK Subban, who's from Toronto and clearly, like all the rest of the media, is a Leaf fan. He said if Toronto doesn't win this series, Brendan Shanahan needs to go. They've had enough GMs through there. They've had enough coaches through there. It needs to start at the top with changes, and that's Brendan Shanahan. And I was like, whoo, whoo, whoo. It was smoke coming out of my phone because I'm like, who says that anymore? PK obviously feels that he can. He's protected by ESPN, whatever. I mean, I don't care about the Leafs, so I don't. I knew this was coming. I was waiting for it. What you do or what you don't do as an organization, you go ahead. And by the way, when you talk about the attitude around town, where I live in South Florida, it's not like Canada, where nobody's talking about the Panthers. I went to the gym today and ran 4 miles. Nobody was talking about the Panthers. I like it because we have a very small little group of hockey fans here, and I like that. Okay, it's similar to when George Strait just got going in the early '80s. Just a little small group of us knew who he was. Bought all his albums, went to his concerts. It was easy to get tickets, easy to get his, and then all of a sudden he became George Strait, and everybody loved him, and it just wasn't ours anymore. So I kind of like what we have here, but that's me. And above all, I said to you guys this morning in the morning meeting, Darren, it's a media thing. It's a fan thing. They want to perform the autopsy. They want to slice into the body while it's still twitching. The Leafs aren't dead yet. Similar to the Jets. People are saying what they need to do for a backup goalie for Hellebuck next year. And blah, blah, blah. That series ain't over yet. And trust me, we're getting to it. But it bothers me that people can't wait until the series is over. Like, is there any chance they prolong this thing past Friday, let alone a Game 7 on Sunday?
Oh, of course, there's a chance. There really is. And, we'll see. I don't think the chances are very good. Once things start going the wrong way, things continue to go the wrong way. It's very tough to correct and change directions. You need everybody to be going the right way. I don't know. It's a little bit like when you know, so why wait? When you know it's over, why wait to start the out? Why push off to tomorrow what we can do today? I think that's a little case of the fans and the media, but you're right. It's not over. I mean, there's still at least one more game to play in this series. It is back in Florida. I mean, throughout the year, the Leafs have been a pretty good road team. But for whatever reason, they've lost their game and something's got to change.
Okay, I'm smiling because our commenters are making me smile, which is a real change. What's in my Dunkin'? What's going on here today? It feels weird. They're not annoying me yet. Not Kevin the Medium. He never does. Kevin the Medium has chimed in. He says, good morning, RP peeps. We have a little CFL talk coming his way here. John in Winnipeg says, wearing glasses makes you smart. Fooled ya. Two people. John in Edmonton writes that he says, Maple Leaf fans were leaving in the second intermission. What do you two have to say about the fans who threw their jerseys onto the ice? And I believe, John Ohm says the same thing. He says, 8 minutes left in the third, 2 jerseys thrown on the ice, very classless. What do I have to say to them? I say, you must be rich. I was thinking about this as I was climbing into my Jeep to go to the gym this morning. I wouldn't even throw a $30 hat onto the ice after one of my guys got a hat trick, let alone a $300 NHL jersey. Are you nuts? There's no way. So all I say is you must be rich. Other than that, it's your jersey, so do whatever the hell you want. I kind of laughed. And last night we were sitting with a group at Bonefish Max Sports Grill. And by that point of the game, most everybody was checked out. They're visiting with each other. They're on their phones. And I'm like, hey, Brad, swatting him. There's a jersey on the ice. All you're doing is making the team look bad and yourself look bad. So I wouldn't say a real fan would do that. But it's you bought the jersey, you do whatever you want. And if you throw stuff on the ice, you're going to get your ass kicked out, too. That's what I say to that. How about you, Moose?
Yeah, and I'd say every market. This happens in every market. The jerseys on the ice.
No, it doesn't.
Seen it over.
No.
Not every market. Not every market,
No.
but it does happen all over the place. It's not exclusive to one fan or one fan base. That stuff happens. It's always just, frustrated people doing frustrated things. There's incidents of that, in multiple places. To me, it's whatever, If you're frustrated and you want to burn a $250 jersey, that's your call. But I'm with you. Like, I would never throw anything on the ice because I paid good money for it. That stuff's expensive.
That's where I'm coming from. And, because, again, Serena and I had long talks about all of these things this morning. She's like, in Montreal, they don't do that. No matter how bad it got, they don't do that. Toronto, they do. Edmonton, they do. Can't name it too many that they do. It's funny how all these things are coming up. It's weird. I think it's called synchronicity or serendipity. I was thinking this morning, I was at a Cowboys-Cardinals game in Glendale, Arizona with Derek Duke Myers. And number one, at the start of the game, we were on the concourse kibitzing at University of Phoenix Stadium. And all of a sudden, the public address announcer goes, ladies and gentlemen, the Dallas Cowboys. And I just And Darren started laughing. I'd never seen the Cowboys play live before. I was just stunned. It's like when Serena's in her room and Wayne Gretzky walks in. You know what I mean? But that was the game where they went to overtime and the Cowboys lost. Derek ripped off his Cowboys jersey and threw it. And oh my God, the security grabbed his jersey and started walking back up to us. I'm like, oh my God, we're done, we're dead. Security's like, you dropped this. Like, what? Anyways, we're getting off track. That happened in Dallas, which is actually a pretty good segue to the next point. But just from the audience, Kirk in Saskatoon writes in, he says, Stuart Skinner, back-to-back shutouts. Could not be more happy for him. Blocked out all the noise surrounding him and played lights out. Go Oilers. That's the thing. Kirk stuck with his team. Some of our viewers did not. And I'm following all of you. I've got it all written down who turned on their team. So don't truck because I can smell it like a fart in the car. You know that. I'm keeping track of it. Brent in Wellington, Florida writes in. He says, oh, no, Moose. I've never seen it before. Carlos in Indianapolis says, I have jerseys that need to be replaced. He's saying, okay, so he would throw his onto the floor. Sorry, Darren, hang on. Carlos says the small circle is good for relationships. Oh, yeah, only the people I trust. Anybody else can GTFO. Travis says, as a Leafs fan, I would never throw my jersey on the ice. However, would you not think about it after paying $800 for a ticket in the lower bowl and watching that game? Hey, we're in the you do you crowd. If you want to throw your jersey, go ahead. I'm not going to judge. I'm saying I would never do it because I don't throw my money away. Now, I'm going to jumble up my topics here, Darren, because I know here that Brent from Wellington, Florida is watching, and I was with him last night. I'm going to skip over point 2 that is simply this. The NFL Players Association announced this morning via the National Football League that it's cleared its players to participate in the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics in the sport of flag football. So hang on. To be honest, you said you felt you knew this was coming. I wasn't sure that they would, but we'll come back on that because a bigger topic is this, point 3. From Minecraft to Mario Kart, plenty of NFL teams had younger fans in mind while revealing their schedules last night in the growing tradition of videos on Twitter. The LA Chargers and Indianapolis Colts had Minecraft themes. Both poked fun at a fight in a Starbucks between NFL reporters Ian Rappaport and Jordan Schultz that went viral during the NFL Combine. And the winner for comedic effect was the Chicago Bears, playing off the common name of new coach Ben Johnson. So the schedule was dropped last night while the Stanley Cup playoff game was on. And to be honest, I can, as I told you, I can fall in love with the pomp and circumstance and the pageantry of the NFL. But I wasn't checking my phone. But I'm sitting 2 seats over from Brent from Wellington, Florida, a dyed-in-the-wool Packers fan. That schedule came out, Darren, and he speaks for a lot of NFL fans. He's surfing it, looking at the schedule, going, there it is. I'm going to Arizona to watch the Packers. Like they're all, I get why everybody's so into it. For me, I was listening this morning to Mike. Oh, we're going to take a break here. But real quickly, I was listening to Mike Florio and Chris Sims on NFL Pro Football Talk, and they were saying 374 games were dropped last night. It's very overwhelming. So what they were asking the listeners, and I'll ask you and then the viewers after the break, how did you break it all down? I looked actually at the Dolphins' schedule first because I live here, and then the Cowboys' schedule second because that's my team. I paid attention to 2 schedules. That's how I broke it down. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, as a Titans fan, it's easy for me to go to their schedule and look at that first. And then I look at all the primetime games and some key games that I may want to watch. I try and see who's playing on Christmas and Thanksgiving. That's usually the same. But yeah, I saw that Tennessee will be in my neck of the woods. So there's a road trip planned, or a nice road game in Arizona. Maybe we'll plan to visit in October. So that's kind of how we did the schedule, or how I break down the schedule. And then I look and see what else is kind of juicy in terms of the primetime games.
Okay, I got to break. I don't want to break, but I have to break. I have so many great things to get to on this and more. Blue Jays, NHL tonight, the Jets, of course, the poll question. Hang on. We'll be right back here live on Game Plus Television, streaming live and podcasts wherever the best podcasts are found.
As long as you're entertained, aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Honky Tonk legend Mark Chestnut. Celebrating 35 years of music. Joined by special guest Aaron Goodvin. June 28th at Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Here we go. Hour one is brought to you by Landmark Cinemas, and Landmark Cinemas now, Fight or Flight. A mercenary takes on the job of tracking down a target on a plane, but must protect her when they're surrounded by people trying to kill both of them. Starring Josh Hartnett, Katie Sackhoff, Julian Kostov. Fight or Flight in Landmark Cinemas now. You've had some thoughts on this, Darren, before I delve back into where we were on the NFL schedule, NFL flag football. The players going to be playing in the Olympics, the Blue Jays, la-di-da-di-da. You think the Leafs are going to lose tomorrow? Am I right on that?
I would think that's where I will bet. That's where I will predict that probably. It feels like they've checked out of the series, going through the motions. We see that with teams, or either that or the tank is empty or whatever you want to call it. We've seen it, yes, in games 4 and 5 for sure.
Okay, so play Larry Tannenbaum or Keith Pelley, the president of MLSC. And Tannenbaum's the chairman. What are you doing? What are you going to do? What would you do if you're one of the suits that runs Toronto?
Great question. Great question.
I know.
I've always been.
It's what I do.
I've always been a believer in the fact that it's not trades. It's not who you bring in. It's not your goalies. It's not these different things. It's a matter of the plan you've bought into is the core group of guys. And if that's your core group who you're sticking with, then they need to learn how to win. You've had different coaches. They need to learn how to win. And we've seen it. It might take more time. It might happen in other places, in different environments. Maybe they get moved out, whatever. But as long as those core guys are your guys, then you just keep running it back. You keep running it back. You bring in some other pieces around them, and you let them learn how to win until the point comes where you decide this isn't the group. So if Larry Tannenbaum, MLSE, Brendan Shanahan included, are sitting there and they think, okay, Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Tavares, Morgan Riley, etc. This isn't the group we're going to win with. When you make that decision, then you have to make a change, and somebody's got to come in or decide if you've got the people in the building. I don't know if Shanahan's part of that or not, or if Brad Treliving's part of that, but you got to decide we got to move on from the core, or you got to do the thing that will frustrate the fans and say, hey, we're just going to run it back again. You either got to run it back or you got to break up the four. I think you got two really pivotal directions you could go.
Would I be wrong in saying there's reason to believe they will never win the Stanley Cup? Never. They'll never win the Stanley Cup. It's kind of looking like that. Or is the addendum to that, they will never win it in their current structure or with their current people at the top? Which is true? Or is both true? Or is neither true?
I'm going to say neither's true because I just believe that neither of those things are true. But you're probably not wrong. I mean, just simply because it's numbers, it's incredibly hard to win the Stanley Cup. So, the odds are not in their favor. But also, unless something changes, nothing will change, right? So and I don't know what needs to change. I'm not inside the building. I'm not, intimately close to the team. But something's got to change, and I don't know what that is. If it's you got to, hey, try a new core, try a new group of people, or give them more chance, more patience to try and learn how to win. I don't envy the people who have to make these decisions.
I'm smiling because names and faces are flashing in front of my mind as you talk that relate to all of this. The thing is, it's like, wait, let's just wait. Let's go another year. Let's wait. They've done all that. Marner's contract's expiring. So clearly it's not working. I think PK Subban nailed it. Shanahan's got to go. Now, I'm not comfortable talking about it until the series is over because there could be a miraculous comeback. That could happen. What if they fired Chris Knobloch when they were down 0-2? Well, look at the Denver Nuggets who fired their coach just before the playoffs. Like, there are premature moves. Mind you, it seems to have worked out for the Nuggets, but you know what I'm saying. Now, the interesting thing about all this is if you went to Paul Maurice and said, what's wrong with the Leafs? He would tell you in less than 60 seconds. Maybe less than 30. He'd have it all. He knows. Nobody asks. If somebody went to Paul Maurice and said, what's wrong with the Winnipeg Jets, Pomo? Because it didn't work for you two, but you went on a one, and here they are. What he could tell you, but he won't, and nobody asks anyways. And I feel like if you ask Mike Babcock, he could tell you too, because he's won championships. My God, every time I bring up the name Mike Babcock, people lose their ever pick in mind, including on my Cats and Bolts podcast yesterday, which Serena did. But anyways, there is a parallel here to the Dallas Cowboys, which I'm getting to. Darren, your mom's watching. Paula DuPont, she writes in on the Progressive Insurance text line. She says, good morning. How would your mom say? How would your mom say good morning? How would she say it?
I like that. I like the way you said it. Something like that.
Just like that?
Got it pretty good.
I know, Paula. I feel like it would sound like, good morning. I'm listening always. Best part of my day. A lot of days. Well, I would hope that it's every day. Gary writes in from Winnipeg and writes, you being raised on a farm rod are aware of the saying, the cream always rises to the top. It appears that the Oilers have the upper hand to be Canada's team in the Stanley Cup final. Maybe the Leafs and Jets are on life support mode and need a miracle to move on to round 3. It appears that Paul Maurice knew what he was doing when he rested many of his key players. Have a great day, Gary. Listen, me being a farm kid, the cream rises to the top doesn't really apply, but I know where the wheat separates from the chaff. But we didn't milk cows. But my Uncle Gary did. And I'll tell you a story. He had a cat, Darren, that would sit on its back haunches in the corner as my Uncle Gary was milking his cow, and he would turn one of these teats and squeeze it right in the cat's mouth. And that cat would sit there and go, and he would squeeze it, the milk right into the cat, like 6 feet away. It was unbelievable to watch. We didn't do that at our farm, but the wheat from the chaff, I got you covered there. Ted in Edmonton writes in and says, sorry, Jets, the Dallas Green Blanket will try to soak up the oil in the Western Final. Go Oilers. Chad in Lethbridge writes and he says, love the DJ playing 50 mission cap by the hip halfway through the game.
What?
I don't even know what language that is. He says, way to know your audience, LOL. Just rub salt in the wound of Leafs fans. I don't even know what that means. Brian in Hudson's Bay writes and he says, good morning, boys. A beautiful rainy morning in beautiful Sask. I get a kick out of these Oilers fans now. All in on Skinner. 2 weeks ago, it probably was the same guys trashing him, and the opposite's happening in Toronto. You got to love sports. Have a good one, boys. Go Mustangs. Yes, the Melfort Mustangs are into the playoffs at the Centennial Cup. We're watching that as well. So the parallel here to the Dallas Cowboys is this. They're like the Leafs, and to be honest, I have to give up. Take my hands off this. When I say, well, we won 3 Super Bowls in the 90s, that's getting to be a long time ago, too. For the Leafs, it's 58 years. For the Cowboys, it's 30 years is long enough. We're a joke, too. And when the schedule came out last night, Darren, which we kind of knew this ahead of time, there's only one team that will play in the season kickoff game, Thanksgiving Day, and Christmas Day. You know who it is? Yes, the Dallas Cowboys, America's team. And so I sat with a guy last night at our watch party, James, who lived in Dallas for 6 years. He's originally from Tampa, but so he can see the Cowboys nation from the outside. He lived in Dallas for 6 years. He goes, it's like everybody's brainwashed in Texas. I'm like, trust me, I know. I've spent a lot of time there. That's my team. It's a little like Rider fans. They don't like to hear it. You know this. They're brainwashed too. These are the faces that are flashing in my mind. When I interviewed Wally Buono, I'm not sure if you were there that day, in the President's Lounge at the Hotel Saskatchewan. Christy was there, like his daughter, as his PR person. And Christy's like, these Rider fans, it's like they're all brainwashed. And I said, I know, I did the brainwashing. Me and a lot of other people. But in Dallas, Jerry is God. Jerry is the God of Texas football. And what he says goes. And those people, they sit in the church every Sunday. They just nod and they believe whatever Jerry has to say. But for those of us that are outside, can see it's all the emperor has no clothes on. So anyways, point being, Cowboys, the Chiefs are in the most primetime games. It's a record 7 evening games. Just to get back on point here, Chris Sims said that that's screwing with the Chiefs' schedule. 7 of their 17 games are at night, and that's screwing with their bodies. Do you buy into that?
It definitely is a thing, but when you play so many games in prime time, and look, the first time the Chiefs are playing in prime time, they've played a lot of prime time games over this run they've been on. You get used to it. It's part of your schedule. Your schedule changes. It's different. You know, I look at Tennessee, my team, not a single primetime game. And they're usually a team that has, 2 or 3 primetime games a season. They got the number 1 overall pick. They know when their games are going to be. They're going to be, maybe they'll get flexed into primetime late in the year if they have a really good year. But the teams that are in primetime all the time, they know they're in primetime. They probably were in primetime the year before. So I don't buy into it because this isn't new for the Kansas City Chiefs.
I think too much is put into that yet. Maybe he is on to something, Chris Sims, on that. I don't know. Clearly, the NFL, by the way, doesn't care. They don't care. Brent from Wellington, Florida, writes that he says, that was straight out of Meet the Fockers, Rod. I assume he's talking about my Uncle Gary shooting milk in that cat's mouth from 6 feet away. That was something to see. And that cat was the happiest cat. He was so happy. He'd show up every day, same time, waiting for Uncle Gary to shoot that milk in his mouth. Monty, you know Monty, Darren, from Saskatoon. He writes in, he says, what is happening to Toronto Maple Leafs? Not happy. We've been talking about it for half an hour, Monty. Thanks for showing up. Troy in Toronto says, never would I throw a $300 jersey onto the ice, but I also would never pay $300 for a jersey. Oh, me either, bro. Actually, I've got Troy Aikman, number 8 Cowboys jersey. I have a Tony Romo, number 9 Cowboys jersey that I never wear. I was thinking about, should I buy a Cowboys jersey now, and whose would I wear? I don't like Dak. Personally, I'm sure he's a great guy. There's nobody on that team I even like. Like, I like CeeDee Lamb. I think he's a hell of an all-world player, but I'm not sure I care for his attitude. The Cowboys aren't even likable. Yet, for whatever reason, the NFL is jamming them down America's throat. It's the tail that wags the dog, or whatever you want to. It's just weird. But, hey, I've detached. Trust me, I've detached. And what that means is I don't allow their actions to affect me. It's a very peaceful way to live. Bill Edwards writes in, Leafs fan, he says, the Leafs know they have played 3 bad games and will be ready Friday night. Well, just wait for our picks. Darren picked the Panthers in 5. He may be right, Panthers in 6. And on the NFL Players Association, clearing their players to play in the Olympics in 2028 in LA, flag football. John in Edmonton writes in, he says, the CFL hasn't announced if the players are allowed to play flag football at the Olympics. Will they or won't they? They will follow suit of the NFL. There ain't no two ways about it. The CFL will allow their players to play as well. And actually, I'd like to talk about that when we come back. If you're down, Moose, you and I being the voice of USA football, it makes me a little uncomfortable in the rink here in American Bank Arena. Have you noticed when the crowd starts chanting, USA, USA, USA? I'm like, do I join in this, or I'll just shut my mouth? We'll be right back here on Game Plus TV, streaming live and podcasts, wherever the best podcasts are found.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Honky Tonk legend Mark Chestnut. Celebrating 35 years of music. Joined by special guest Aaron Goodvin. June 28th at Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Ladies and gentlemen, transform your audience with powerful presentations from EMJ Marketing's elite speakers. Check out their website for more information at emjmarketing.com. Moose is here, and a couple things that I want to mention. The Toronto Blue Jays wrap up their series with the Tampa Bay Rays this afternoon at Rogers Centre. Kevin Gausman gets the call for Toronto, while Zach Little goes for Tampa. Jays looking to build on Wednesday's 3-1 win, powered by Alejandro's 3-run homer. And the Winnipeg Jets look to extend their season tonight when they host the Dallas Stars in Game 5 of their second-round Stanley Cup playoff series. The President Trophy winners trail 3-1. That is the poll question for EMJ Marketing. Do the Jets win tonight? 60% of respondents are saying yes. And I'm in that. I think they'll win. Don't answer, Darren. We'll push that to hour 2 when we preview tonight's games, because there are 2 of them. Carolina at Washington and Dallas at Winnipeg. But I do love when our worlds can come together. And this is operator error on me. The NFL, as you know, had come to me and said, we need you talking about us more on your show. And I was initially offended and defensive. And then I thought, well, it's the NFL. So I got logged in, got my profile from the NFL media portal, and realized this ain't that hard. So there's that, and then there's the flag component, the Players Association of the NFL ruling as of this morning. That's when I got the notification from the NFL. They're now sending me their stuff. It's made life a lot easier. We were the first to report that the Players Association's cleared the players. The CFL will do what the CFL does in their own time. But you said earlier that this doesn't surprise you, almost like you felt this was a formality. And I'm not really in that camp, or I wasn't, but you were right. Well, how did you know this?
Yeah, but for me, it's timing. So because of where the Olympics falls and all the rest, players don't miss anything. So they're on their own, and there's nothing prohibiting them from going. So the PA announcing this, I mean, cool, they allow the players to go, but I think the players could have went anyways. The thing that I wonder now is, I assume the NFL will follow suit and be okay with it and allow them to go, and there won't be any breach of contracts or things like that. The thing where it gets confusing with the CFL is you're in the middle of the season. I mean, they're in training camps now, and you're going to be in the middle of the season. So for me, if the CFL is going to follow suit and allow players to go, you're going to have a very creative schedule. I think you're going to have an Olympic break in the schedule, just like, the NHL has an Olympic break or the NBA has an Olympic break. I think the CFL is probably going to need some sort of Olympic break. Otherwise, are you going to want your players to be gone, for 2 weeks during the season or for however long it is? Plus, it's not just going to be 2 weeks of the season. There's going to be a little training camp for Team Canada or Team USA or Team World or whatever country you're representing. It's a little more complicated for the CFL.
I see the viewership is rising as we talk football, and what you've walked into the middle of here is just this morning, breaking news. The NFL Players Association has cleared their members, as they refer to them, their players, to participate in the Olympics in flag football. It's not even football, but it's similar to mixed doubles curling versus traditional four-person curling, right, Darren? It's just a modification, or 3-on-3 basketball in the Olympics. So let's not split hairs. Is this just not a typical CFL conundrum? So I have so many thoughts on this because, again, Darren and I and Serena broadcast the USA National Championships, flag football. So we know all the USA football very well, people, but also Football Canada people. Kevin McDonald, who's running it now, longtime CFL guy and a good friend of mine. And Paul Lapalisse is the head coach of Team Canada. See how it's all coming together, people, and why I love it so much? But why it's a problem for the CFL, Darren just said it's in the middle of their season. I think, by and large, I heard this at Super Bowl, and I heard this from Paul Lapalisse last week. The NFL wants to be involved. What do I hear when I hear that? They'll be involved. Because what the NFL wants, they get. I hear it all the time. Our good friend Neil McAvoy, the former GM of the BC Lions, who's now been moved up in the front office. When Nathan Rourke still had a year left on his contract with BC, yet all those NFL teams wanted him, what did Neil McAvoy say? I think on this show, McAvoy said, if the NFL wants him, they'll get him. And they did. So I guess I should have known when I heard the NFL wants to be part of the Olympics that they would put their players in it. Stick with me, everybody, if you care as much as we do. And I think they do care because we're passionate about it. Scott Hallenbach is the president of Football USA, and you, Darren, interviewed him. I have a photo of it. I took the picture of it. Really cool guy, who, by the way, has been in that role since 2005. I said to him at Super Bowl on this show, if NFL players want to play for you at the Olympics, are you going to allow it? And he goes, we're going to have tryout camps, and they can come and try out, and if they are the best players at the camp, they'll play. That's pretty open and shut. Who of the current NFL, Darren, just for spits and giggles, could you see playing? Because it's a totally different game than tackle football, which Lapo explained last week. But just give me some names who you could see playing, honestly.
NFL? I mean, I go to you go to the big names, right? Like, I mean, Tyreek Hill aside, you go to the Justin Jeffersons and Jamar Chases, and I don't know if I necessarily go along with Patrick Mahomes or the Joe Burrows or some of the elite quarterbacks, because a big component of being a quarterback, flag football, is you got to be able to move, and you got to be able to catch too, because there's a lot of different strategy where you have to throw the ball and get it thrown back to you. There's throwbacks, things like that. So I look at all the playmakers, the fast playmakers, and then I start to think from there who could potentially make up a USA roster.
Well, let's start with Tyreek Hill for a couple of reasons. Number one, he's potentially the best athlete in the NFL. I think he's the fastest runner at 21.5 miles an hour. He sponsors a flag league here in South Florida, and he's regularly at the games. So Tyreek knows the game inside out. He would probably be perfect. So I'm going to put him on Team USA. The reason I asked you that is, in Canada, CFL players, do they need to be current players? Could we have recently retired players? Could they be competitive against current NFL players? Like, there's a lot of guys stay in great shape. Tom Brady could quarterback Team USA. You and I both know that. You and I broadcast that for how many days? 4 days? 5 days? There was not one serious injury. The only injury was a kid pulled their hamstring on the side of the field, remember? And the trainer came out. That could happen walking down the street. But there was no collision injuries. Okay?
No, you're right.
Yeah, go ahead. Could you see a retired CFL, and they have to be Canadian?
Oh, yeah.
Player, who would come to mind to you? I'm thinking Brandon Brooks, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah. And you say Tom Brady, and, maybe he's thinking about it, but Tom can't run. He doesn't run very well. So maybe he's not the quarterback, not that elusive, but he could. And maybe he's thinking about that. I see him on his YouTube page throwing footballs and staying in great shape and all the rest. Tom could do it.
Still playing.
He is. Do I think about, retired CFLers, Canadians? Yes, but there's enough Canadian playmakers, Josh Palmer, Erica, Alec Iomanner, just drafted to Tennessee. There's enough playmakers in the NFL that I don't know that you'd even get to the CFL necessarily. You would get to, great CFL players for sure at some point, but there's a lot of great Canadians playing in the NFL that would be, considered. Like, I could see the two Rourke brothers. being the two quarterbacks.
That would suck. That would suck for the CFL if they didn't have any players in it. But Lapo specifically brought up Mason Nias in our interview last week. He's quarterback Canada in international competition. You know him well. You called his games at the U of S. His dad is my very best friend on the planet. They're already thinking about it. Anyways, we got to take a break. Boy, people are loving this chat. You take your break. I'll see you in hour 2.
Yeah.
We'll be talking a lot of Stanley Cup playoffs in hour 2 as well as Jared Dumba joins us, our NHL analyst. We'll be right back here on Game Plus Television, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are found.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
We're broadcasting from Studio 23. Thanks for making us part of your day. Sports, sports, sports. We love sports. And here is a heavy gym sports headline. Recap of the day. Bryce Pickford had 2 goals and 1 assist in leading the Medicine Hat Tigers past the Spokane Chiefs 5-2 Wednesday night in the Western Hockey League Championship Series. Hunter St. Martin, Ryder Ritchie, and Liam Ruck also scored for Medicine Hat, who now lead the best-of-7 series 3-1 and are a win away from advancing to the Memmer in Rimouski, Quebec. Game 5 goes Friday in Spokane. The Oklahoma City Thunder can clinch a spot in the NBA's Western Conference Final with a win tonight in Denver. The Thunder, led by Hamilton's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, hold a 3-2 lead in the series. Heavy Gym isn't just about lifting weights. It's about lifting your spirit, your strength, and your potential. Step into a gym that's changing lives. Find out more at heavygym.ca. There ain't another show on television, radio, or streaming that involves the audience as much as this one, and I love it. We've had two primary topics today: the Stanley Cup playoffs, NFL schedule release, flag football participation, and we've mentioned the Blue Jays and the NBA, and now the dub. And with the Cowboys, they are my team, and I just can't ever really see me going away from them. I won't. I want to, but I can't. They're playing in the opening season kickoff game at Philadelphia. Loss. Home Thanksgiving Day, and also playing Christmas Day. They're the only team to do that. They're just such a marquee team, but they're a joke. Utah Darren writes, and he says, the Cowboys bring eyeballs, either to cheer them on or to root for their demise. Yeah, I'm used to it, but you should, if you haven't, get down to Texas sometime and spend some time and just see the grip that team has on the state. And then for all of us in the Cowboys Nation worldwide, it's a sickness, I think. Very similar to the Leafs, Riders, Yankees. I don't know what it is. You know what it is? Those teams are 100 years old. It's a big reason. Troy in Toronto writes in, he says, with my newfound mindset, I found myself not melting down as I watched the Leafs implode. I just can't drive myself nuts anymore. I'm too old for the emotional roller coaster. Dissociation works. Detachment is the word for those in the mental health field. Detachment, more so than dissociation. Look it up and then get back to me and tell me what you think. That's what I practiced with the Cowboys. Not attached, detachment. It actually works. Mike in Winnipeg writes in, he says, the Leafs are done. Said the Chiefs have the most primetime games, a record 7 evening games. Randy from Winnipeg writes in, he says, just check the Chargers have 5 primetime games, including 1 in Brazil. He's the biggest Chargers fan that I know. With regards to the NFL jumping in on flag, Troy says, just a gut feeling they're looking to the future trend and want in on it. Brett in Calgary says, I think the unorthodox quarterbacks like Mahomes or Lamar Jackson would be assets. Kyler Murray? Jets Stars next hour, and Jared Dumba. We'll be right back.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
legend Mark Chestnut.
I'm gonna get alive.
Celebrating 35 years of music.
I just wanna hold you close.
Joined by special guest Aaron Goodvin.
I'm all boom, boom, boom. So
June 28th at Temple Garden Center.
brother jukebox.
Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
I was fascinated last week that Jerry was pounding Egg McMuffins like it was his job and dousing them with salt because he didn't care because he's 80.
How about that?
So what better, shrimp cocktail or Egg McMuffin? Don't waste our time. It's Egg McMuffin all day. And don't get me started about those puny little cocktail rings that you buy. They're disgusting. Egg McMuffin's good anywhere. That's right.
It's the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, everybody, it's hour 2, and we are rocking and rolling into it. Episode number 1497. With a day that we're having a lot of fun. We always do. I hope you are as well. I'm here in the Florida studio. Moose is in the Toronto studio, and it's worked out quite well that the Florida Panthers would meet the Toronto Maple Leafs in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So we're going to see how long this thing goes. Jared Dumba is coming up in the next segment to talk Stanley Cup playoffs from the hockey-playing Dumba family. And Darren, just to catch everybody up to speed, do you have a hand-free Jordan, Director Jordan, on to play the Quick Six show horn? Can you find it? Can you fire up the horn? Yeah. We've been talking about the big stories. Stanley Cup playoffs. We actually have several big stories, but Stanley Cup playoffs from last night. Panthers won. Leafs imploded. Does this series go past Friday? A lot of us thinking no. And if it doesn't, what do the Leafs do? We can spend some time on that this hour. Point 2 was the NFL schedule released last night. And the pundits are saying all 32 teams' schedules dropped. 17 games. 17 games times 32 teams works out to like 374 games. That's a lot. So what did you focus on? The very first team I went to was the Dolphins because I live here. Then the Cowboys. Darren focused on the Titans. That's his team. The breaking news today is the NFL Players Association has cleared its players to participate in the Olympics in 2028 in flag football. And while I was getting all geeked up about Canada and who was going to represent our home and native land and CFL offshoots of that, Darren peed on that parade.
I did.
By saying there's enough quality. You did. When did it dawn on you? Because it did not dawn on me, sir. You ruined it. If I'm being frank, can I be frank? You can be whoever you want to be. We don't even need CFL players. There's enough Canadians in the NFL, and they're not even playing at that time. That's probably the way it's going to go.
I would imagine they want to play. There are a lot of really great Canadian players, though, that play in the CFL, too. Talented players. And it's all about skill positions. And the CFL does offer things like with the big field and the waggle and things like that. Like, it is a different game, and it does, I think, translate to the flag game pretty well. But, just in the ability to cover and the athleticism and all the rest. But in the NFL, that tight field, too, the flag field is not big. It's not a big flag field. It's very tight and narrow, and you have to be able to operate in that, tight windows and all the rest. So I'll be very curious to see what they do. And Paul Appelese and the folks at Football Canada will have an interesting job. I'm curious to see what this looks like moving forward.
Well, and we're going to get to tonight's Stanley Cup playoff games, but a lot of hockey talk coming up in the next segment with Jared Dumba. But Darren and I have deep, deep, deep roots in the wonderful sport of football, the game of football, and that's why we're intrigued by this. And everybody's slowly catching up. Like, again, what did you think we were doing 2 years ago when we were broadcasting at USA Football, USA Center for Performance in Charlotte, North Carolina? We were building the groundwork for this. But they're all catching up, Darren. That's fine. At least they're catching up. Wayne in BC says, I think that the flag football will have mostly receivers and running backs, although defensive backs or linebackers as well, but not O and D linemen. This is what's funny. They have coaches and they have personnel people. They have people that do that. That's the one thing that I've always got a kick out of. You don't see me talking about who should be on this line or who should be in this D pair or who should be in this receiver group. I'm not the coach. I'm like in the 0.01% on this earth that does not care about that stuff. Sometimes I wonder why I have the show. Because, as you know, that is like the biggest thing that sports fans love. Pretending they're the coach. And if not the coach, then the GM. Do you get into that?
I love it.
I don't ever hear you talk about that.
I used to. I've changed. Like when I was more of a fan and not in this business, I would get into that all the time because it translates. Like so many things play into that. From the games to fantasy football to the video games, you're changing your line combos. And, we grow up as fans wanting to be pro athletes, wanting to be coaches, wanting to be GMs, we envy those people. So then when we get the opportunity to kind of come up with it on our own, and then you got things like, the salary cap websites that let you, create contracts and move players around and manipulate your lineup to try and figure out how you fit under the cap. It's all the armchair quarterbacks, GMs, armchair coaches. That's why fans do it.
Okay, fair. Well, I've always wanted to do exactly what I'm doing right now. Okay? So that's why I don't understand. I never wanted to be a coach or a GM, and very briefly did I want to be a player. This is what I wanted to do. With the NFL schedule dropping, Tony from Cochrane, Alberta writes in, and this is a poignant comment. He says, I'm jealous of Troy getting to go to the Packers at the Browns game. As long as I've been an NFL and Browns fan, I've never seen one live. Wanted my first to be in the dog pound and just hasn't happened yet. Life is about choices. I know you, Tony, well enough to know that you've been raising a family and working your ass off. But don't die without having gone to an NFL game. Will you make me that promise? Say to your kids, for the love of God, I dedicated my life to you little bastards. Get me a trip to Cleveland with your mom. You know what I mean? Like, come on. That's the one thing for me. We talked last week about growing up on that farm. I wanted to see everywhere. And now I have. I'm sitting here at 52 going, now what? Everybody's saying, are you traveling with the Panthers? No, I do not want to leave South Florida. Brent in Wellington, Florida writes in, he says, 2036 Olympics, flag football, Canada or USA, #dad goals. His son RJ is a Canadian and U.S. citizen, so he could play for both, and he's one of the best flag football players here in South Florida. I've seen him play live. That's a fact. RJ, he the man. Let's get real. Let's get down to business. 2 Stanley Cup playoff games tonight. There were 2 last night. Darren and I tied 1-1 in our picks. We both had one right, and we both had one wrong. And that leaves us, Darren, coming into today. I lead you 25-22 on the aggregate. And so Carolina at Washington tonight. I think I know. I'm writing down. You got Canes, me too. They're going to end it. They're going to end it. What makes you say, why are you so confident they're going to end it tonight?
They are so good, man. They're playing at such a high level, and they just match up with Washington really well. I haven't seen the Capitals really have an answer for the Hurricanes in this series very much.
I just think Carolina's too serious. Washington, the glass slipper has turned into a pumpkin, if that makes any sense, for the Washington Capitals. Dallas Stars at the Winnipeg Jets. Stars can close it out with a win, but I don't think they will. I'll go first. I got the Winnipeg Jets to win tonight.
Yeah, I've got the Jets too tonight. So this isn't very interesting on the picks.
That's okay. If we do this every night, I'll win. Right to the end.
We're not even halfway through.
Okay, fair. Oh, yeah, I'm like a Leaf fan. Celebrating at the line.
But we are more than halfway through because there are so many more games to pick in the first two rounds. There'll be a lot less games in the second half.
Holy man, are we a family of squirrels around here? There are our picks, but Troy writes in on the NFL schedule released last night. He says, I was more interested in the NFL schedule released last night than the Leaf game. Can you blame me? I ended up buying tickets for the Packers and Bears at Lambeau. My dream trip is finally happening. No, I get it, man. I guess you weren't with us, Troy, off the start of the show. Last night I was at the Panthers watch party, and Brent from Wellington, Florida, was beside me, and the schedule dropped for the NFL teams, and he's on his phone checking when and where the Packers are playing, and he's got his trip planned to Arizona already. I was more ensconced in the game at times, but there were times he caught me in my phone doing whatever I was doing. But this morning in the gym, I told Darren I was listening to NFL radio, and I listened for like 40 minutes to Mike Florio and Chris Sims talking about the NFL schedule and who's playing where and when and what were you focused on. And I said to Darren after, I almost feel ashamed. They weren't really talking largely about anything, but I was so hooked. How has the NFL hooked the world? I don't know how they did it. I don't know. But they got us.
Yeah. They've got us. We know all the characters. We know the storylines. We know all the markets. They've got us. And, they're continuing to feed it. You can't just rest on it. You got to continue to feed it. And they're continuing to feed the beast and continuing to innovate. And now they're, expanding what they're doing internationally. It is a masterclass what the NFL has done.
Yeah, well, they got us hooked. Like Darren's, it's the storylines, and they don't mind, by the way. They don't mind. We've worked with the NFL. We've been at Super Bowl. We've worked with USA Football. They're sending us their videos. They're sending us their photos. Use them. Use them. Use our logos. Other leagues aren't quite as accommodating. We talked about the Leafs last hour, like everybody else in Canada. And should they lose this series, what should they do? We talked, some viewers asked, what do we think about Leaf fans throwing it's 1:11 Eastern. Squirrel moment. 1:11 for those that are into numerology. I don't have time to explain it. Look it up, why we pause every day at 11:11 Mountain and 1:11 Eastern and talk about it. But anyways, the Leaf jerseys being thrown onto the ice. I am very big on you do you. And as a matter of fact, I hope more people can examine or accept other people's perspectives. I think the world would be a better place if we weren't trying to impose our own ideas on everybody else. But that's just me. You want to throw your jersey on the ice, go ahead. I would never do it. Not because I think it's disrespectful, but because it's too expensive. I don't like wasting money, period. Anyways, the reason I say that, Kirk in Toronto writes in and says, hey, Rod, Leaf jersey plus those playoff tickets, that's 2 years of Argos season tickets. You know where I park my dough? Right, with the boatman. But again, you do you. Like, as much as Serena and I think a lot the same, We also don't on a lot of other things. Like I said, one pair of tickets to a Oilers regular season game is season tickets for a year or more to your favorite junior hockey team. I would take the junior hockey season tickets. And she's like, well, I would take one game of the Oilers. She's not wrong. You know what I mean, Darren? Can you see what are your thoughts on that? Like, it's the way people think. They don't all think the same.
Yeah, and that's why we have all these different sports leagues and opportunities and price points and all the rest. And, I know it's frustrating when your favorite team becomes too expensive for you to go, but that's why there's other options. And unfortunately, some leagues are going to be leagues that we only watch on TV. Some are going to be ones that we get to go to the games. And those are choices we make, and that's life. That's what makes life actually pretty great.
Ray in Scarborough, Ontario writes in, he says, hey, Rod, the Leafs got sucked into their regular season success once again. At what point do they realize the playoffs are a very different animal? Time to say goodbye to Shanahan. Change has to start at the top. Leafs fans are already writing the postmortem. They're already digging into the cadaver, even though it's still twitching. But they got sucked into the vanity of finishing in first place in the Atlantic Division. Hey, wait a minute. When's the last time they finished first in the division? Hasn't it been at least 9 years? Doesn't that mean anything? Oh, no, it doesn't. Here's Paul Maurice over here sitting his guys for the last 2 months of the regular season and didn't give two squirts about the standings. He knew they were going to be in. That's a master class, Darren. You saw that he was doing it, right? We all knew what he was doing here. I don't know. How do you feel about Ray's comment and the way Pomo addressed the last 2 months of the season?
Well, yeah, you're right. But the two things I don't think are related. Like, I don't think the Leafs winning a division and him resting the guys, not worrying about that. Because when it comes to sports and this, you got to worry about yourself and not what anybody else is doing. And Florida's in a completely different situation where they had just had an incredibly long year, an incredibly hard year where they had to scratch and claw and win a Stanley Cup. And then they had some of their best players playing at the Four Nations and dealing with injuries. They did what they needed to do to be ready to go for the playoffs. And hey, the Leafs did what they needed to do to be ready to go for the playoffs too, which I think was win the division. And they were ready to go. For 8 games of the playoffs, they looked pretty darn good for 8 games. But unfortunately, the playoffs is 4 rounds, and you got to figure out how to play beyond that. And, the switch has been turned off. But, I think what Florida has done has been really, really great. That's how you approach it. It's a great way to approach it after winning a cup. And I think what we might see moving forward is the copycat league. Whoever wins the Stanley Cup this year, if they're good again next year, you might see them resting guys at the end of the year, following in that same mold, try and go back to back.
A quick one before we go. Brian in Hudson's Bay says, how many players are on a flag football team? He brings it up because we've been talking about the NFL Players Association has cleared their players to play in the Olympics in flag. I want to say, 10? It's 5-on-5 on the field, right? Quarterback and 4 others. It's 5-on-5, right?
I think so.
Yeah, so let's say 10 to 12. Yeah, I think it's 5-on-5. So let's say 10 to 12 players on a flag team. And by the way, there's like 3 stipulations or conditions that need to be met for the players from the NFL to play in flag. We'll discuss it later on in hour 2, so stick around because Moose has to run. See you, Ramuski.
Later.
Thank you for your efforts. All right. Jared Dumba's in next from the famous hockey-playing Dumba family. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are found.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Shania Twain.
Let's go, girls.
Live in Moose Jaw. Shania Twain. One incredible show. Live at Temple Garden Center, July 7th. With special guest, Lindsay L. Get tickets Friday, March 21st at 10 a.m. at the Temple Garden Center's box office or sasktix.ca. For more, visit shaniatwain.com.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
It's a Jordan Blodgett production today. The Old RP Show. And hour 2 is brought to you by Culligan Water. Drink clean, live green, filter your water for a healthier tomorrow. Culligan Water of Regina. Visit CulliganRegina.com. They bring you today's guest appearance. Jared Dumba joining us, our NHL analyst from the famous hockey-playing Dumba family. And Jay Red, it's always a pleasure to meet your acquaintance and talk hockey with you. You still got the Matthews jersey up, eh? You haven't thrown it down on the living room floor yet.
I'm not one of those fans, Roddy. It's been a tough week for Leafs fans, as we all know, and you know what? Oh boy. So you know what? Sometimes we're hardest on ourselves and those we love. And I got to be a little bit hard on the guy I love back here, number 34, Austin Matthews. You know, he's playing good defensively. And a lot of people are pointing that out. Yeah, he is, but he doesn't get paid to play good, to just play good defensively. He gets paid to score goals. In these series, in these big moments, when you're so close and everything's on the line, I don't know how you don't get more up for the games. There's some people speculating injury. If there's injury, okay, fine, you can live with that. But you'd think even with an injury, I mean, we watched Leon Draisaitl with high ankle sprain, scoring goals left and right for the Oilers a couple years ago. I just don't see how. I don't know where Matthews has gone, and it's kind of frustrating because you see what he can do in the regular season. You see him the odd game here and there in the playoffs, but to not be able to bring that every single night just doesn't make sense. Especially being a former pro hockey player, I know how easy it is to get up for the playoff games. You don't even have to try. So when you see guys at that stature that are not getting up for the games and not contributing like they can in a situation like this, it's a little bit tough. Maybe I'm being a little hard on him. Maybe he's, like I said, maybe he's injured or something, but they need more out of the big guy if they want to try to get back in this one.
They're saying he's injured, but it's more than just him, obviously. And, belly buttons, everybody has an opinion. And there's a lot of analysts out there, so I can't remember where I saw this. Maybe it was the woman I live with said it. I can't remember. But somebody said that the Leafs aren't built for the playoffs. And look at the Florida Panthers, clearly are, and the Tampa Bay Lightning before them. Do you feel that there's something to that?
Well, the only thing I see with that is in that big four that everybody talks about. I'd even say, big five, you throw in like a Morgan Rielly in there. But within that group, when you're getting contributions from the knives, from other guys, I know McCann hasn't been living up to kind of what he could be as well. There are some other guys as well. But within that big four, in the big games like last night, you got to just put everything behind you. You got to bring it. Absolutely bring it. You got to be throwing everything at the wall. And it seems like in those big games, whenever they have that opportunity, it looks like they're walking on eggshells a little bit. They're playing they're not that they're playing scared, but they're just not playing to their potential. You'd expect at some point in time in your career, on a game like last night, when you got the chance to go up, that you're going to step it up and you're just going to finally get over that hump, but they can't get over the hump. You can kind of see it in their game right now. You can see that they're sitting back a little bit. They're not pressuring like they were in those first couple games, even in the first half of that, of the third game. You could almost see the shift in that third game where they just stopped pressing and stopped playing like they could. And I don't know what the answer is there. I don't think it's personnel. I think it's the guys in that room got to reach down, grab make sure they're still there and say, no more. That's it. This is over. We're going to get through this. You got to burst through this wall at some point.
Well, okay. Well, here's the thing. I'm the one that's saying the series isn't even over yet, so I'll get your take on Game 6 tomorrow night, and if you think that they do extend this thing. But is there any chance, and I'm just throwing this out here because it's Canadian television sports talk where you got to talk about all aspects, is there any chance they're buckling to the pressure? A la Connor Hellebuck over in Winnipeg, if that's happening. Because that series ain't over yet either, but there's something there that it's clearly mental. That's got to be
100%.
I'm just throwing that out there. Yeah?
Yeah, I agree 100%, Roddy. It's all mental. Like I said, watching that third game, you could see the shift where they stopped going from full-on pressure to kind of going, oh, these guys are coming. When you start thinking that way, instead of thinking, okay, we got to keep burying these guys. We're leading on the scoreboard. You can't think, okay, we got to sit back now and protect our lead. You got to think, let's keep drilling them into the ground. And you could see, like I said, when that mentality stopped halfway through that third game. And you're exactly right. In my opinion, it's all mental. It's all, are you listening to the noise? Are you letting the other guys get under your skin? Are you worrying about what the other team's doing instead of what you're doing? And I think that's what's going on. And, coach has a tough job ahead of him to get them over that hump because it's been happening year after year after year. Now, when you ask, can they win next game? I definitely think they can win next game. I think it's going to depend a lot on what's said in that room and what the guys do together. If the guys get together, have a little chat amongst themselves. If I'm Berube, people are talking about changing lineups and everything like that. I would just say, you know what? I'd walk in that room, tell everybody how much I trust them, tell them that we got this game. There's no doubts we're going to win this game. I believe in you guys. Try and get that belief going and show a little bit of a little bit of confidence, instead of walking in there and being worried about what Florida is going to bring.
It would be nice to have people believe in you. That's why I love having the analysts on, like yourself, who's been through the hockey wars. And I listened to Bruce Boudreau this morning on NHL radio, and they basically said, Bruce, if you were coaching the Jets, what would your speech be? And it was very similar to what you're just saying. I believe you can do this, that you can win at home. We win at home, guys. Let's just win tonight, and then we'll worry about going to Dallas, right? Like that's what the mentality needs to be. But just one more on Austin Matthews. I've seen the games live here, Jared, and he's not himself. He's not playing as a $15 million per year player, not even really playing like a captain. So I just wonder, whenever their playoffs are done, whether it's this series next or the one after that Craig Berube doesn't come out and pull a John Cooper and say, oh, by the way, this guy was playing with this guy was playing with this guy was playing with that. Because they can't say it now, right?
Yeah, no, that's when we'll learn who was all injured. And it looks like there could be a couple other guys. If you watch close, it looks like there could be some few guys with some minor things going on. But you give up that information during the playoffs. And even if it's the coach giving it up against the player, that player's coming after you in your room saying, don't let them know what's injured, because the other team will go right out. If they know your right arm's injured, they're going right after your right arm all night long. So you keep that hush-hush. I wouldn't be surprised to hear. I'm just wondering if it's not something a little more serious than what we're all expecting, just by watching them play.
Wow.
If we find out it's something very minor, that's not gonna look good on them.
Well, again, the guy who's noted as having the greatest shot in the NHL has no goals in round 2. So do the math, people. Yeah. Something's not adding up. What are you thinking of Jet Stars tonight in Winnipeg?
You know what? I think I don't know why. The last couple games haven't really shown us this, but I think the Jets are going to come back and try and get back into this series. We got to see a big game out of Hellebuck at some point in time. If that's going to happen, I would bet it's going to be tonight. But not going to be surprised at all if Dallas gets the win and moves on.
Has this series become too much about Connor Hellebuck, do you think?
I think every year is, when you got a guy who's up for who could easily win the Hart Trophy and the Vezina. That doesn't happen very often when you're that good in the regular season and then you just fall off. I think it's pretty tough to make it about anything else, as much as the coaches and everybody else tries to say, it's everybody. Well, everybody does have a little part in it, but, you're expecting Hellebuck, if he's the Hart Trophy winner for the year, and Vezina winner, you're expecting him to step up and at least win you a couple of games, So I'm not so sure that, if Dallas wins tonight, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Hellebuck's games cut next year by about 10 to 15 games. He might just be. It almost looks like he's wearing out a little bit at this point of the season. It's not like the old days. The games are a little quicker.
Yeah, Jared, you and I have been friends since you've been 9 years old. What year were you born in? 79? No, 80? 81?
79.
What year were you born in? Yeah, 79. So I'm 7 years older than you. Right, so I was 16, you were 9 when we first met. Just so everybody knows, because we have viewers writing in. Wayne in Victoria, BC says, great analysis. Jared, Scott in Vancouver says the same thing. So you and I have been friends for a long time. We see things the same way. We're also ahead of everybody. Have you noticed, Jared? We're so far ahead, people think we're behind. And so now I'm sitting here going, Sergei Bobrovsky is the greatest goalie in the world. And we're seeing it in money time. Get out of here with Hellebuck and all these other guys. Bob is all that. And I had to wait until now for him to prove it. Now, the gentlemen are watching in BC, and it's a good segue to the Canucks hiring Adam Foote as the head coach. I'm going to be honest. Didn't see that one coming. And what do you think about the word that Quinn Hughes, he's the one Quinn Hughes wanted, so they hired him. Bruce Boudreau says he doesn't believe that. I heard that this morning, but your take on the Canucks and Adam Foote.
Well, you know what? Good to get obviously a great player when he played. Good to get a good hockey guy in that system. I have heard the Quinn Hughes stuff. Who knows? That's pure speculation or if that's true or not. But yeah, you know what? They need some fresh blood in there now. Since Tocchet didn't want to go back, as we know now, Tocchet's with the Flyers now. Who saw that coming? I think everybody. But as for the Canucks, good to get a great coach. All you've heard is great things about him. Players are probably going to like him. Good for a guy like Quinn Hughes to have a defenseman like that to, help him work on his defensive game. Not that he needs much work on any part of his game, but yeah, I think that's a great hiring for Vancouver. It's good to get some fresh blood in there.
So those are the two. Quenneville in Anaheim, Ken Holland in LA. Score one for the old guys. Q is 66, Holland 69. They're saying Lou Lamoriello to the Sabres at age 82. What's the message here, Jared?
Well, the old boys know what they're doing. I can tell you that. I was nobody was more excited than I was when Holland was going to the Kings. It's going to be real interesting to see what Holland does because Holland. He usually goes in somewhere. It's usually a reclamation project of sorts. He usually takes his time, but LA's a little bit closer than the other teams that he's joined. So he might go in there guns ablaze and making, having some signings and, making some trades right away if he thinks anything needs to be shaken up. That's a real big signing. Now the Lou Lamoriello thing, how long is he's gonna just try and work till he's gone, isn't he? Till he dies. I don't think he can ever get out of the game. He seems like that type of guy. If he gets on, good for him. And you know what? Buffalo might need something like that. They need, who knows what Buffalo needs.
My dad worked in the NHL till he was 78. And he's like a lot of these guys, to be honest, they kept giving him contracts. I think he probably would have walked away, but they wouldn't let him. So maybe that's what's happening with Holland. Maybe the Kings called Holland. They probably did, if they're not dumb. So, yeah, I think that's about all I have, other than I should ask you about Vegas just wilting up and going away in 5. I was shocked. Were you?
I was absolutely stunned. I did not see that coming. Obviously with your captain out, he's your captain, your leading goal scorer. That never helps any team. So that was a big one for them. But still, I didn't see them wilting like that. Like Edmonton, I don't know. Is Edmonton that good? We're going to see next round. Is Edmonton that good, or did they wilt that bad? So it'll be interesting to see next round. I can't wait to see Edmonton and if they're if Ekholm can get back playing, full force, we'll see what goes on there. But man, it's interesting. This is the best time of the year, isn't it, Roddy? I can't wait. I'm already looking forward to the next series. These series aren't even done.
Exactly. All right, Jared. Thanks for the time. Appreciate you. Keep in touch.
Thanks, brother. Chat soon.
Our NHL analyst from the famous hockey-playing Dumba family. And the viewers are telling me they really like Jared's analysis. Well, we don't let Rudy Poos on the air here. No Rudy Poos on the air, as we quote John Frenzy. We'll be back with a sports update and viewer takeover the rest of the way with some real fun topics today. We're live on Game Plus Television, streaming live and podcasting wherever you enjoy your podcasts.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Honky Tonk legend Mark Chestnut. Celebrating 35 years of music. Joined by special guest Aaron Goodvin. June 28th at Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
It's a Connor production, they're telling me. A Connor production of the RP Show as we broadcast from episode number, Studio 23 from episode number 1497. Before I go any further, can I ask a favor? Because I don't ask for many. Any females that are watching, would you mind writing in? 902-518-3033 on the Progressive Insurance text line. 902-518-3033. Write it down and put it on the coffee table or put it on the fridge. It's all guys that were writing in. Not that I have a problem with that. I am one. But I would like the studies show that 35% of this viewership is female. Are they just sitting back enjoying the show, or are the men scared them all off? Hi. Would you mind writing in? I'm going to do a sports update here, talking about some sports that we don't get into in our normal show topics. Heavy gym sports update. Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, and Xander Schauffele were supposed to be the marquee group to watch during the first round of the PGA Championship. But it didn't look that way today, at least on the 16th hole at Quail Hollow. The world's top three players all made double bogey on the 535-yard par 4 16th hole, with Scheffler and Schauffele finding the water on their approach shots from the middle of the fairway, and McIlroy making a mess of the hole when he slipped in the mud while playing from the deep rough from a side hill lie. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and the Kansas City Chiefs will be featured in at least 8 standalone games during the upcoming NFL season. Their Super Bowl rematch against the Eagles won't be one of them. The teams will meet Week 2 in Kansas City in the late afternoon game on Fox. Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, and the Eagles dominated the Chiefs 40-22 to win their second Vince Lombardi trophy in February. Philadelphia is getting 7 standalone games. There won't be a long wait for a Josh Allen-Lamar Jackson showdown. Allen and the Bills visit Jackson and the Ravens in Week 1 on Sunday Night Football. Here's an update on the news this morning that the NFL Players Association have cleared their players to play in the Olympics in flag football. NFL owners will discuss a proposal to allow players under contract to participate in flag football in the Olympics in LA in 2028. The league released a proposed resolution on the issue that will be considered next week by owners at the spring meetings in Minnesota. If the resolution is approved by at least 24 of the 32 owners, the league would be allowed to negotiate with the NFL Players Association, Olympic officials, and national governing bodies on the specifics of letting NFL players participate. So, a lot of people will know what this all means. A lot will not. Even though the Players Association released their players this morning to play, the owners still haven't said they'll let them. So this is a step-by-step thing, and the very first thing the union had to do was allow the players to play, because if they didn't, we're not talking about any of this. Now they're free to play. Now it's up to the owners whether they want to or not. And to be honest, I'd love to be a fly on the wall in those rooms, because I will guarantee you there will be some owners that don't want their players to play for fear of injury. Listen, this is going to get really good. It already is. And we've been on this train, choo-choo, for at least the last 2 years, tracking it. And to be honest, look at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years and beyond. How many of you have a kid that plays or played flag football, a grandchild, a niece, a nephew? I have. And somebody wrote in here and said the NFL eventually is eyeing its own flag league, probably adults. The NFL Flag League. I don't know. I don't look that far down the road. I'm a one day at a time guy, as you know, and that's working great. It's pretty damn exciting for me. But isn't this all fun to follow? Boxing great Manny Pacquiao is coming out of retirement to fight Mario Barrios for the WCB welterweight crown in July. Pacquiao's team made the announcement today, just hours after he conceded defeat in a bid for another seat in the Philippines Senate. Can't believe this guy is losing elections, Manny Pacquiao. So popular over there. And one day when we're really hard up for stories, I'll tell you a story of my multiple nights broadcasting prize fighting and boxing. World Boxing Council, me and Ken LaCusta on national television, pay-per-view, and my hand caught on fire. John in Edmonton writes in, he says, RP, you need to do the show from the Cats and Bolts podcast studios. It's so beautiful. Would work well with your RP show. John, you need to just worry about John from Edmonton. Just worry about yourself, and we'll be good. Thank you, however, for tuning into our live broadcast yesterday. This studio is beautiful, too. And we wind this sports update up with soccer. Lionel Messi and Jordi Alba have been teammates for 12 seasons. If that's going to continue after this year, it'll evidently mean they're both staying with Inter Miami. Alba has signed a contract extension with Inter Miami, one that has seen him committed to be with the Major League Soccer club through the end of the 2027 season. Inter Miami is just another team on the local sports scene that is really wild. Nobody ever talks about them. Yet the stadium's filled every game because Messi's playing. And he's really made them into something. And initially, I wanted to go to those games because they looked like so much fun. And then I've realized, nah, I don't really want to go. But it still looks fun. I'm just not a soccer guy. The sports headlines are for Heavy Gym. Heavy Gym isn't just about lifting weights. It's about lifting your spirit, your strength, and your potential. Step into the gym that's changing lives. Find out more at heavygym.ca. We'll be coming right back with Overtime after this, here live on the Game Plus Television Network, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are found.
cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to World Championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Shania Twain.
Let's go, girls.
Live in Moose Jaw. Shania Twain. One incredible show. Live at Temple Garden Center, July 7th. With special guest, Lindsay L. Get tickets Friday, March 21st at 10 a.m. at the Temple Garden Center's box office or sasktix.ca. For more, visit ShaniaTwain.com.
Hi, my name's Logan Stanko.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Okay. It's time for Overtime. We do it every day. The final segment of the show. It's brought to you by our great friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. And if you're in Calgary for the Centennial Cup, the National Junior A Championship, and you haven't stopped by Overtime Hockey Lanes yet, what are you waiting for? And you have now 24 hours, everybody, to sign up for the Player Development Day at Overtime Hockey Lanes. Achieve your hockey goals at Overtime Hockey Lanes. It's a player development one-day camp for players of all ages. You can go to overtimehl.ca for information or to sign up, or stop in, better yet, 28th Street Northeast, Calgary. Ask for Randy and Michelle and tell them the RP Show sent you. We have a short way to go and a long time to get there, i.e., I think Jordan, when we came on the air here, he is directing the program today. Connor's producing it. He told me we had 8 minutes to go. Well, I've already read the sports update. So I'm going to finish this out with your comments, everybody. Troy in Toronto, you're bringing some good stuff today. Troy in Toronto. He's a Leaf fan and a very dejected Leaf fan, like every Leaf fan. He says, Rod, I looked up disconnection versus dissociation. I have been traumatized by the Leafs since childhood. So I think I need disassociation rather than just disconnection. The trauma is real. LOL. That all sounds great, but the term that I steered you toward is detachment. Detachment. I didn't mention disassociation or disconnection. Detachment, please. That's the sweet spot. That's what's got me through life as a Dallas Cowboy fan, especially over the last couple of years. And Troy says, I have to say I really enjoyed today's show, Rod. Been working hard lately. I needed 2 solid hours of entertainment, discourse, and time with other sports fans. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Dallas is watching. I won't mention any last names, Dallas. But he's written in about our last analyst, Jared Dumba, and he goes, yes, the Oilers are that good. I'll say this about Dallas. I respect you, Dallas, because if you don't always stay on the bandwagon, I wouldn't know that. It seems like you're always on the bandwagon. If you're not, you don't say anything. So he said the Oilers are that good. Okay, I believe you. I mean, I've detached from the Oilers long ago. So I would be just as happy if they won the Stanley Cup. I'd be happy if Toronto won the Stanley Cup. I'm on record as saying that. Florida's already won their Stanley Cup. I mean, they don't look at it that way, but I do. Rob is watching in Regina. How about that? He says, I totally agree with Jared Dumba. With the Leafs, it's definitely not coaching. Coaches don't play. Ryan Whitney said it really well from the Spit and Chicklets podcast last night. He goes, watching the Leafs makes me really happy I'm an Oilers fan. Because literally, what is it going to take? What is it going to take? We all know, we're all sports fans. We don't need to sit here and pretend to be some expert to say if the players aren't getting it done, then the coach has to go. But in the case of Berube, it's only been 1 year. They won the Atlantic Division pennant. And I might remind you all they haven't lost yet. And by the way, where's Ryan Thomas? Tommy, where are you? BW, he's the big Leaf fan that wants to be the pest to me all the time. He's not here today. BW writes that he says, leaving Saskatoon for the Peace Garden State. Again, he's a trucker. Somebody want to tell me what the Peace Garden State is? Or do I need to go to the big board? I'm guessing North Dakota. But I don't know. BW also says, could changes be coming to the Golden Knights in the offseason? They've done it in the past. Depends how they want to play it and who they need to explain it to. One thing I know about that outfit, and I have a lot of friends that work there, Bill Foley, the owner, the quote is, he doesn't play. So they're going to try and explain to him why they got not swept, gentleman's sweep, which I hate the term, but I just used it. Mark Stone didn't play. And I'm like, if Mark Stone not playing is the reason they lost, then he should be in the conversation for MVP. If you can't withstand the loss of your captain, which I understand is a really big deal. They missed the playoffs a couple years ago when he was hurt all year. So if that's what it is, and they can convince Bill Foley, we lost this series because we didn't have Mark Stone, Bill. All right, we're good. If not, heads are going to roll. BW says, indeed, it's North Dakota. Thank you. John Ohm says, go Jets. Come on, boys, do it. Here we go. Troy has looked it up. He says, detachment, the state of being objective or aloof. This is a long-term goal. It's very difficult to be objective when it comes to the Leafs. Oh, well, I guess I'll have to continue to just suffer. Suffering's a choice. Pain's inevitable. Suffering's a choice. That's from my counselor, Rand. You're welcome. 902-518-3033, the Progressive Insurance text line. Jeff is watching. He's in the Energy City, and he says, so Austin Matthews should not be captain. He's not worth the money he's getting paid. Well, now's a great time to figure that out. That's the one thing. Like, do these teams sit back and go, oh, we really screwed that up? Like the 8 years given to Connor Hellebuck, or the whatever the term is of this Austin Matthews deal. They're telling me Connor Bedard's eyeing $15 million a year. Now, he's really earned it. He's earned it. But I don't get these long-term deals. What have you proven? That's all. Brady is watching in the Bridge City. He says, hey, Rod, the Oilers are Canada's team. The Leafs are blowing their annual load of chunks. And the Jets and Hellebuck are choking again. Saskatchewan Rattlers start their season tonight. Have a great May long. Yes, the Vancouver Bandits are at SaskTel Center tonight. There we go. John Ohm says, have a great day, everyone. God bless. Enjoy the NBA tonight. Remember, the Blue Jays are playing a matinee this afternoon against Tampa Bay, wrapping it up. And a couple of Stanley Cup playoff games today. We covered it all, I think. We'll do it all again tomorrow with a Football Friday. The owner of the BC Lions will be with us, Amar Doman. See you then.
Great job, Jordan, by the way. I love the job you did on that.